Hello and welcome to the live third edition of the Thursday Night Thunder podcast with AJ and MMK. This is episode 22 of this series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and tonight Michael and I will once again bring you the best discussion about the world of modern motorsports. Tonight, we begin our 12th season of hosting the most hardcore program on the internet. We began in July of 2014 and have been going strong, well, strong-ish ever since. During that time, we've interviewed more than 250 motorsports personalities, authors, and famous people. Some of the highlights, at least for myself, have included our interviews with Jeremy Mayfield, the Harris brothers of Storage Wars fame, and NASCAR Cup champion Bobby Labonte. We've even had the chance to speak with former Formula One drivers, lawnmower racers, and demolition derby competitors. Now, it's been an interesting, long experience here. I can even say that some of the drivers have been better than others. I can say that easily. But they've all been really cool to talk to. In the past, we've had some regulars on the show, and I've really appreciated that. We had Tristan Nunez on as a regular for some time. We had a little bit of time with Pato O'Ward, who was on the show like 4 or 5 times. That was pretty cool, too. And we've had other people as well. More recently, we've talked to people such as the people from Formula E and other places. It's been really interesting. So, after all that, after our more than 200 shows, 22 in this series, and more than 200 on Blog Talk Radio with Speedway Digest, we have Michael in the thing here somewhere. Let's see. I saw her there, and then she disappears. Anyway, she was registered as a speaker for a second. We've had our share of technical gremlins as well. I know some of you from this year have seen those gremlins. People like when we had Jeb Burton on the show. That was a little bit interesting. Ended up being a little bit more gremlin than not, but other than that, it's been pretty good. Overall, what's been your favorite show, Mike?
They've all had like their own, I don't know, they've all been so different, but I've really enjoyed, and it's been a long time ago now, but when we spoke to Shay Holbrook, I really enjoyed her interview. And like I said, I've enjoyed them all, but I really enjoyed hers.
Mm-hmm. It has been a while, and I know her career's been a little bit different too. She started out, of course, in the drag racing. She moved on to sports cars and that sort of thing. I don't know what she's involved in now. I know she has been involved in sports cars this year. So if you're listening, Shay, we'd love to talk to you again in the future and have an update on your career. At this point, we don't have anybody in particular lined up to be on the show, and we're really working on that behind the scenes here. But if you guys are interested, I'd love to have you on the program. Again, if you're a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport, contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 15 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. This weekend's going to be a big weekend of racing, and let's go ahead and get into that a little bit in a moment. But first, let's talk about the big news in the world of sports cars, since we brought up a little bit of the sports car thing to begin with. The IMSA ACO Strategic Alliance provides for 3 automatic invitations for each year's 24 Hours of Le Mans for IMSA competitors. Effectively, IMSA provides 1 automatic entry in each of 3 classes racing at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The championship-winning team in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Grand Touring Prototype class earns a Le Mans entry for the following year in the Hypercar class. The winner of the annual Jim Truman Award for the top bronze-rated driver in the WeatherTech Championship Le Mans Prototype 2 class earns a Le Mans entry for the following year in the LMP2 class. Similarly, the winner of the Bob Aiken Award for the top bronze driver in the WeatherTech Championship Grand Touring Daytona class earns a spot in next year's 24 Hours of Le Mans in the LMGT3 class.
This year's automatic Le Mans entry from IMSA are the number 4 Porsche Penske Motorsports 963, shared by Nick Tandy and Felipe Nazar, and Pascal Warlin in Hypercar. The number 34 Inter Europool Competition Oreca LMP2 07 of Nick Bull. The 2024 Jim Truman Award winner and WeatherTech Championship LMP2 champion, being co-driven by Jean-Baptiste Seminar and Luca Giotto in the LMP2 class, and the number 13 AWA Racing Corvette Z06 GT3R for 2024, Bob Atkin, award winner Ore Fidani, and co-drivers Matt Bell and Lars Kern in the LMGT3 class. IMSA also will continue to hold exclusive rights in North America for the use of LMP2 and Le Mans Prototype 3 race cars. As a component of the extension, IMSA will adopt the new LMP2 regulations announced by the ACO in Friday's press conference. The new LMP2 cars are expected to begin competing in the WeatherTech Championship in 2028.
The agreement also allows IMSA to use Le Mans in the title of the 10th annual 10-hour season WeatherTech Championship season finale, known as Model Petit Le Mans, at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. IMSA and the ACO have been strategic partners since the launch of the modern-day IMSA at the beginning of the 2014 season, and with formal links between the two organizations dating back for decades prior.
2009 Trans Am champion Tommy Dreese and the Dreese Motorsports team scored their 5th consecutive top 5 finish and 6th of the 2025 Trans Am by Pirelli season at Road America on Saturday in a thrilling 3-way fight for 4th place on the last lap. Dreese and the number 8 Trent Shoring Company / Motrol Franklin Road Apparel Chevrolet Camaro came out on top, beating Brandon Jones to the line by just 0.130 seconds. Dreese was also involved in battles for position throughout the race, but none were more dramatic than the final few laps. He spent the time slashing the gap to 4th place while also facing pressure from a hard-charging Jones behind him, using the slipstream on Road America's long straightaways. He made the decisive pass in turn 5 on the last lap before breaking Jones's draft off the final corner to defend the spot across the line.
The 4th place run marks Dreese's career best at Road America in 16 previous starts. He has started multiple 5th place finishes, including in each of the past 2 years. The result also allowed Dreese to strengthen his hold on 3rd in the TA Championship standings, increasing his advantage to 13 points over 4th with 5 races remaining. After a well-deserved off weekend, Dreese Motorsports will wrap up the busiest stretch of the season on July 11th through 13th with a return to Watkins Glen International for Trans Am's 3rd event in 4 weeks. Last year, Dreese scored his 4th podium of the season, with a 3rd place finish at the historic New York circuit.
On-track action begins tomorrow at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for Ohio's biggest racing event, the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, presented by the all-new 2026 Passport, July 4th through the 6th. This spectacular 4th of July weekend will feature a kickoff party, camping activities, live music, movie on-site, fireworks show, and 9 total races. The stars and cars of the NTT IndyCar Series headline the 3-day spectacle, racing for the 42nd time on the legendary 2.258-mile 13-turn road course in Lexington, Ohio. The competitive field of 27 IndyCar drivers will feature multiple Ohio connections, including 2 entries from Pataskala, Ohio-based Meyershank Racing, MSR, Marcus Armstrong, and Felix Rosenquist. The MSR duo has already set a team record with 12 top 10 finishes this season, and Rosenquist heads to Mid-Ohio 4th in the championship standing.
The North Central Ohio circuit is also special to Rahal Lehrman Lanigan Racing driver Graham Rahal and his father and co-team owner Bobby Rahal. Both Rahals are past IndyCar winners at Mid-Ohio, with Graham taking the checkered flag in 2015 and Bobby winning in 1985 and 86. In commemoration of the 40th anniversary of Bobby's first win at Mid-Ohio, he has been named this weekend's Grand Marshal and will give command to drivers to start their engines ahead of the 90-lap race on Sunday. Alex Palou, the NTT IndyCar Series points leader, 2025 Indianapolis 500 winner, and 3-time Series champion, will again be one of the favorites at Mid-Ohio. Palou, pilot of the number 10 OpenAI Honda, tallied a victory at Mid-Ohio in 2023 and has won 6 of the 9 races this season. The Chip Ganassi racing star nearly won the 2024 Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, finishing second to Arrow McLaren's Pato Award.
4th of July celebrations begin at the track on Friday evening, starting with a camper golf cart parade, where weekend campers can decorate their golf carts or side-by-sides in patriotic red, white, and blue, and then take a lap of the 13-turn road course. After a trip around the track, campers will be welcomed back to the campgrounds with live music from Panko Black Root starting at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday after IndyCar qualifying later in the afternoon. The Camping with Honda tradition continues as Honda-powered NTT IndyCar Series drivers will tour the campground areas to meet fans and check out the festive patriotic campsite decor. At 7 p.m. Eastern, campers and ticketed guests are invited to head to the S's Spectator Mound to watch Disney's animated classic Cars on the big screen between turns 4 and 5. Then shortly after dusk, sunset, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, ticket holders can enjoy a spectacular fireworks show over the Mid-Ohio grounds.
On Sunday, fans can get involved in IndyCar pre-race festivities by participating in a fan grid walk from 12:20 to 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time, an opportunity to get close to the cars on pit lane before the race begins. Grand Marshal Bobby Rahal will give the command for drivers to start their engines at 1:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by the green flag waving over the field at 1:22 p.m. Eastern. Live national broadcast coverage on Fox begins at 1 p.m. Eastern. Weekend tickets offer their best value when attending an event at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Children 12 and under are mid-free. Daily tickets and pit paddock passes are also available. Tickets are $5 additional when purchased at the gate. All ticket options and pricing are posted online at midohio.com. You can follow the event on social media with hashtag Honda200.
The NASCAR Cup Series takes to the streets of downtown Chicago this weekend, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is ready to wheel the number 47 Rate Chevrolet through the tight corners and iconic cityscape. This marks the third consecutive road course race in Chicago for Stenhouse and the Hayek Motorsports team, who are carrying momentum from a strong showing last weekend. With Rate back on board as the primary sponsor, the team is locked in and focused on making moves in the Windy City.
The Grand Park 165 is unlike any other event on the schedule, with a 12-turn, 2.2-mile course that weaves through the heart of the city. With limited room for error and the potential for changing weather conditions, strategy and track position will be critical. Hayek Motorsports is focused on qualifying strong, avoiding trouble early, and being in position to capitalize late. The Grand Park 165 will be televised live on TNT on Sunday, July 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern.
This weekend marks the penultimate round of the 2025 24-hour series, the Michelin 12-hour of Paul Ricard. In their debut GT3 season, Era Motorsports arrives at Paul Ricard with strong momentum as the number 81 Ferrari 296 GT3 currently holds fourth in the championship, just 8 points off the lead. The 17-car GT3 field will take on 12 straight hours of racing at the 3.630 mile, 5.842 kilometer circuit Paul Ricard on Saturday, July 5th. Following a full day of testing and qualifying on Friday and optional track sessions on Thursday, July 3rd.
Greek racer Andreas Las Karathos returns to Era Motorsports for the first time since winning the 2021 Asian Le Mans LMP2 AM title with the team. He joins the number 81 Ferrari's four-driver lineup for Paul Ricard, racing alongside longtime bronze driver Dwight Merriman, IMSA veteran Ryan Dial, and reigning British Tour champion Jake Hill. Despite a power steering failure that cost them positions at the 12 hours of Misano, the team still secured a class podium after completing a mid-race pump replacement, carrying valuable momentum into this weekend's event.
Justin Ashley drove his Skag Power Equipment Toyota Top Fuel dragster to the winner's circle at Summit Motorsports Park on Sunday, capturing his second straight victory of the 2025 season and the 17th of his career. Ashley started Sunday as the number 1 seed and methodically won 4 rounds to claim victory, including a whole shot win in the finals where he had a 0.027 second reaction time. Ashley's win is also the third straight top fuel win for Toyota after his victory in Richmond and Steve Torrance's triumph in Bristol. Ashley's road to victory included defeating Toyota teammate Sean Langdon, who made the semifinals for the 7th time this season. Torrance and Doug Coletta also advanced out of round 1 on Sunday.
In Funny Car, Ron Capps made it to the semifinals on Sunday for the 4th time this season, and second in the last 3 races. After earning the number 3 qualifying seed earlier in the weekend, J.R. Todd was eliminated in round 1. A first-round exit to the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals Sunday morning didn't accurately reflect the progress Sean Reed and his Reed Trucking Excavating Top Fuel team made at the Summit Motorsports Park. Reed and crew chief Rob Vinland made the most of their hot conditions with top 5 performances in qualifying before losing a tough opening round match to 4-time world champion Steve Torrence.
Qualifying was a roller coaster for the Reed Trucking and Excavating team. In the first session on Friday afternoon, Reed raced from A to B seamlessly to lay down a pass of 3.84 seconds at 322.42 miles per hour, putting him number 5. He encountered tire smoke on Friday evening, but the team came back strong on the first Saturday hit with the 4th quickest pass of the heat, a blistering 3.82 second 2 seconds. Wow, at 318.32 miles per hour. The last qualifying effort resulted in tire smoke for many of the drivers, including Reed. Still, his run from earlier in the day landed him in the number 11 position going into eliminations.
On Sunday, Reed left second behind Torrence, but he took the lead by the 330-foot mark. They exchanged the lead once again further down the track when Reed started spinning the tires. Torrence also spun and both drivers lost blower belts, leaving them with only momentum to get to the finish line. Reed didn't have much momentum as Torrence, with his 4.00 second pass at 285.77 miles per hour, failing to Torrence's 3.939 elapsed time. The NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series returns to action next at Pacific Raceways outside Seattle from July 18th through the 20th. So, looks like a lot of these racing series will be heading out your way shortly. I know that the NHRA will be there beginning at the middle of this month. IndyCar is going to be heading out there soon. Even NASCAR has got their race coming up in Portland coming up in about a month or so. You planning on heading any of those events?
I would like to. I've kind of been, I don't know, trying to work it out in my head a little bit, but I would like to because you're right. We do have some cool stuff coming this way. And you know, and it's not every day that we have cool stuff coming this way. So I think I'm going to do my best to try to, even 2 of those events that we just named off, you know, there really is a lot of stuff coming this way. So it seems like now is the perfect time to get something in, you know?
And I think either this weekend or next will be the powerboat race there in Washington State as well. That's coming up with with Jimmy Johnson racing there in or having the little exhibition run anyway in the unlimited hydroplane. That could be interesting too.
Yeah, I do. I think that sounds really interesting. And you know, where I live, they have like they're like cute little tiny hydroplane boats, and they come and they race on the water, and it's super cute and it's fun to watch and it's very entertaining. But I don't think I've ever seen like the big boys run on the water, so I have been kind of debating how I can try to catch that as well. So yeah, lots of stuff, lots of stuff. What about that way though? You got anything cool coming your way?
Not really. It's a little too hot and it's too rainy right now. There's not really much going on, and basically it's just too hot and too rainy. That's the main reason. Most of the racing here is in the spring, and it all seems like it's all the exact same day now. Most stuff in March, in early March. There's always the races there in January, that sort of thing. Next year will be a little better spread out with the fact they've got the Formula E race in January, um, but then they've also got the IMSA race there at Daytona, the 24-hour race taking place in January, which I don't know if it'll hit this next year or not. But Formula E race was cool this year. I don't know if I'll go next year. I might. But the fact that the Formula E race is being held at the Miami Autodrome, where they held the Formula One race, is interesting for next year. So that'll be cool. Um, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. They announced the Grand Prix in St. Pete, which is happening in March of next year. It's always happening in March, but the weekend switches a little bit. Um, again, I'm not sure we're heading out there because it's a heck of a drive getting to St. Pete sometimes, but it'll be interesting to see that in 2028 when they bring out the new engine package, which was announced this week. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to reach out to some people in the IndyCar paddock to see how they feel about that. We've had some IndyCar guys in here in the past, so hopefully we'll be able to get that. Um, I'd love to talk to some of the team owners there. We've had one of them on the show in the past as well. So I'm working on it, and we'll see how that goes. Uh, but again, should be a good time in racing here next year. But again, this year there's really not much else going on. There used to be the race there in Daytona, the firecracker race used to be this weekend, the July 4th weekend. It happened that way forever. It's ended the past few years, and now they moved that race to the fall. So um, I used to love going up there for Daytona. We've done that a few times in the summer. Um, it was really cool. It was a great, nice evening event. The first time we went was almost 20 years ago, I think. It was we went to the one at the we went to the behind the in the back stretch, the super stretch there. Watched the race from there. That was really cool. Um, but it's been a long time, and Daytona's changed quite a bit. So things happen. It moves around, and I don't know about the fall race. Hasn't had a lot of luck with weather, and I think that's really the main reason why they moved it from the summer, because the weather there played havoc with NASCAR in the summer. So, but it's one of those sort of things. Daytona always has issues with weather, especially in the summer and the fall. So I understand why they moved it, but I missed the race in the July 4th weekend. That was really awesome.
Yeah. Why did they move it?
I think it like I said, they had more than a few years where it just rained, and they had to delay the race. Whether they delayed it to really late at night a couple of times, they delayed it to the next day a few times, and I think they just get tired of having to move it.
Mm, that makes sense. But I don't know. We've talked about the weather before, and it's,
Mhm.
I guess, probably hard to schedule around it.
That's it. And sometimes they just get tired of it. They want to try something different anyway, move things around. They've got other tracks that are begging for dates at different times of the year too. So I don't know if Chicago is the best deal for the July 4th race, because I know it's really hot in Chicago. In fact, it's hotter there than it is here. It has been for a couple of weeks now. But we'll see how that goes. I wish them all the luck. I think that the first year they had the race there in Chicago, if everybody remembers, Van Gisbergen ran away with the race, and it rained a lot. It probably rained more there for the Chicago race a couple of years ago than it rained for the Mexico City race there a couple of weeks ago. So it was a if it rains in Chicago, it's not a good thing. I know that there've been some issues. Just talked about the past few days about whether they're going to renew the in Chicago or not. So hopefully it's a good race this weekend. Hopefully there's a good turnout, and hopefully they're able to work something out with the people of Chicago there with the government, and extend it out. NASCAR is making some big changes, move to downtown circuits and that sort of thing. Some people think that's awesome. Some people don't. So I know it's really good for the. It seems good for the sport. It seems good for the all the people involved. Seems good for the spectators, and definitely seems good for the advertisers. So that's one of the important things, and we'll see how that changes the sport too. How do you feel about the movement of NASCAR races to more road courses, and especially downtown circuits?
I do think it's cool, and I don't know, it's cool. Road courses are cool. They're neat. They have their own. I don't know. I do kind of wish. I don't know. I don't want to sound like old, but I remember watching, the like old NASCAR with my dad, and it was just so different. And yes, things are evolving and they're constantly changing and stuff, but I don't know. What a time to be alive that was, I guess. Lately, I didn't get to experience it too much. But anyways, not to go off topic, I don't know. Road courses are cool. They are cool, but I guess I'm gonna be biased maybe because I'm more of an oval person. I like watching them drive in circles. I love it. I love watching them drive in circles. But they also have, I'm sure a lot of people like road courses and they don't really care for ovals. So I can see how they have kind of they kind of have to appease to both crowds, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of road courses, but I'm not against them. I think any kind of racing really, especially at that kind of level, it's going to be interesting either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's definitely something different, and it's divided the sport quite a bit. I know that that Petty there, Richard Petty, has made some public comments where he's not really for the expansion of road courses. He's definitely not for the expansion of NASCAR into the downtown areas. So, but I think that the age of Richard Petty being listened to as the voice of NASCAR passed a while ago, and he just he has his own things to say, and there's still people who listen to him just because he is Richard Petty. But he definitely doesn't have hardly any pull with NASCAR anymore. He barely owns the team at Legacy Motorsports. He doesn't even have any ownership there. I don't think. I think he just sort of works for the team a little bit now. So things are definitely changing. Going back to the history of the show here a little bit, I remember when we had a deal for a while. We were talking about the Nitro Jam series and the IHRA. Today, I actually heard a commercial for the IHRA Nitro Jam series is returning now. They've got 5 events coming up in this next season. So 5 isn't anything, but it's still something. And I wish them lots of luck. That was really awesome to see the Nitro Jam at Palm Beach International. A couple times I got to see that there. And I'd love to see them return something like that closer to home. But I will be reaching out to the IHRA in the next coming days and seeing what I can find out about the IHRA Nitro Jam series. And I'll be posting something on my Motorsports News and Views site. So be on the lookout for that. I'll also be posting something on the Facebook page, at least if I can find it. Since they're all advertising it, they should have a schedule posted. And I'll post as much as I can about that, and it should be a really good thing. I don't think that they are going to be competing with NHRA the same way they were a few years ago. They're in their heyday there, but I think they're working on it. They're working on trying something different, and I wish them all the luck. It should be really good.
What's your favorite series of like professional racing right now? What's your favorite thing to watch?
Right now, good question. Uh, I think right now it would have to still be NASCAR, just because the coverage on Prime was so good with with the coverage there. But that's really tough. I like IMSA too. IMSA I like going to a lot. I think the IMSA races are awesome. IndyCar used to be really neat, but IndyCar is getting, in my opinion, IndyCar is getting old because they've had the same car for several years now. Basically, the same exact car. They've made some slight modifications with the Halo device and the hybrid system. But basically, when you're looking at the cars, you're looking at the same car you've been looking at since 2012, and that gets really old. So hopefully, the 2028 car is better. I know it's not going to be as fancy as some of the early design things were, and in fact, I think it might be more of a throwback to some of the cars from the 90s. But it'll be interesting to see. I know the power plant's going to change. I don't think it'll be as hybrid focused as what it is right now. We'll see how that changes over the next few years, whether that adjusts at all. But like I said, 2020 would be cool with those cars. Um, the cars in IMSA will be changing in 2027 a little bit more, but those cars always change. So, and NASCAR has also got some really cool things happening with the reintroduction of Dodge with the Ram trucks next year in the Truck Series and the future return of Dodge to the Cup Series. Probably not next year, probably more like 2027, 2028 for that. So a lot of good things happening in racing. It just depends on whether they all pan out. That's the big $1 million questions of whether things keep on the same track. I know the coverage is always changing. The fact that they've moved from traditional TV to cable to now most of the series can only be found on streaming. Some of them exclusively on streaming now. So that's changing it as well. But as you say, it's an interesting time to be alive for the racing now too. Things are changing a lot. The people who used to follow in the series are definitely changing. I think that's one of the issues NASCAR has still is the fact they don't have name recognition for a lot of the drivers, and none of the series really have that. So it makes it more difficult sometimes, especially for a wider audience. For people who are interested in racing, they'll be interested in racing no matter who's in the car. But for people who are just barely at the edges, they want to find somebody who they're interested in. If they can't identify with somebody, if they can't figure out who's racing in the series, it's not a good thing.
I kind of see that, and I kind of see it with my husband too. He's really a good example of what you just said, because his favorite driver was Jimmy Johnson, and he used to watch NASCAR. He would turn it on, and he would sit there and he would watch it. But now he only watches, occasionally when Jimmy Johnson makes an appearance or whatever, but he doesn't watch it as faithfully as he did. So Jimmy left and he stopped watching.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, yeah. And he hasn't found another driver. He hasn't found another driver. So, I don't know. It's just interesting. It's just people are so interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of people in NASCAR who are cool. There's a lot of guys who have a good story behind them, but it seems like the personalities are in a lot of cases the personalities are gone. And if you have the guys who really have personalities, they're not necessarily the best drivers. They're or the best people to interview. We had the thing in the past where we had some interviews with NASCAR guys, and some of them haven't been the best because they just didn't work out. But uh, NASCAR is complicated because they tend to put their drivers out forward, especially in the rain delays and that sort of thing. And some of the guys are good at it, and some of them are not. And that's their problem. They have to develop a personality that not only shows who they are, but appeals to the masses and picks up certain people who are willing just to turn on the TV just to see them on the screen. And that's the issue they have, especially with NASCAR now. From the ones they've really solved that, especially with their social media marketing and their new thing on Netflix there. So maybe NASCAR should do that. I don't think so, but maybe NASCAR should do something like that to try and reach out. Maybe IMSA has in the past too. IMSA has done a lot of great things on YouTube that really is cool. It puts you behind the scenes. It gives you ideas what the other drivers are, how they do things. Um, and of course, if you follow people like Jordan Taylor, who had his start at Lime Rock in the Truck Series last weekend. Jordan Taylor has been the is a really awesome driver there in IMSA. Races for Wayne Taylor Racing, um, which was known last year as Wayne Taylor with Andretti. Andretti had the reorganization, so now it's just Wayne Taylor again. But Jordan Taylor has a really cool media presence. I think that's sort of the thing that some drivers need. Other times they need to figure out who they are and find out a way to sell that to the world. And the more they do that, the better off the sport is. It might not be the answer for everybody. It might not be the answer for the series as a whole, but definitely makes it more interesting. Makes it more fun. So there we go.
True. Who's your favorite NASCAR driver right now?
Right now, I think Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch hasn't had a really good year. He said he hasn't won half as much as he did before. He hasn't won hardly anything. But when he's having fun, when he's competing well, when he's doing well, he can be a really neat guy. When he's not, he's not. But I think that's a good thing too. It shows he actually has personality. Some of these drivers don't. But and Kyle Busch, even when he was the bad guy and getting all the booze and everything, he was the best for the sponsors. He was the you couldn't find a guy who was a better spokesman for M&Ms and that sort of thing than Kyle Busch was in his heyday of his career, which wasn't really that long ago. So I still like Kyle Busch. I think he's really awesome. I love Kurt too. Kurt was really cool when he was racing. I'm happy Kurt got into the Hall of Fame, and that's really neat.
I didn't really care for Kyle Busch, but then I watched, I think it was his show or somebody's show, and I guess this really goes with just, gosh, what you're saying, but it really like seeing him in a different light,
Hmm.
I'm kind of a Kyle Busch fan now. So that show, not that it matters if I am or not, not that it matters, but that show just showed, I'm not going to say the human side to him because that's not what I mean, but it just showed, like the little bit more down to earth side, I think. And
Yeah.
it really did. It made me actually really like him.
And some of the stuff that Kyle Busch is an awesome example. Some of the stuff his wife does for social media is really cool too. Where she has fun with the kids and she makes fun of her husband. And makes fun of herself, plus showing off the fashion things too, which is her thing. But she makes fun of herself and the whole sport. It makes it kind of a fun thing. It humanizes them, like you said, a little bit. So that's good. I don't know if you saw it, but I know Matt Tift has he's had some good stuff on YouTube lately. Matt Tift is redeveloping Mansfield Speedway in Ohio, so that'll be pretty cool. I didn't even realize Mansfield had closed until he had the video out about it. But it's really a if you have time and you're interested in any of the history of racing or that sort of thing, I'd recommend checking out Matt Tift on YouTube and checking out his work on Mansfield Speedway. That's looks like it's going to be an awesome facility when he's done with it.
Wow, that's nice. You don't hear too many tracks being brought back to life. You only ever really hear about them getting torn down and covered up or a jail built on them. You don't you don't ever hear them being brought back. So that's really neat.
It is, and I think that if you watch any of the YouTube thing, you'll hear the story behind it. He was looking for a place because he and his wife moved to the Mansfield, Ohio area from North Carolina, obviously, but they had moved there. And he was looking for a track, basically sort of a test thing, sort of one of the Days of Thunder type, go out in your backyard and spin around in the car type things. And he couldn't find one available that was small enough for him to use for his own purposes, plus big enough to make money off of. So he went out and he saw that Mansfield Speedway, it wasn't up for sale at the time, but it was beat. It had been they had started the redevelopment of it to turn it into I believe it like an industrial type facility. So and that failed. So he went out and he bought the track, and now he's trying to bring it back to something. And it's a really cool story. It looks neat, and I hope it does well.
Yeah, I'll have to go check it out on YouTube.
One of the other things I saw on YouTube the other day, and I've been watching way too much YouTube, obviously, but one of the things I saw the other day was the BJ McLeod, who races for Live Fast Motorsports in the Cup Series. He is invested in roller coasters. He now has a racing roller coaster in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, that has his name on it, and pretty cool looking. I've never done a racing roller coaster in the mountains. I've almost did one last year, but it got canceled because the one that we had on the cruise, it just wasn't. We didn't end up going to the port that had the mountain coaster in it, but that looks really awesome. That it definitely has a racing tie-in. The fact that BJ McLeod has done some work with NASCAR technical support in the past, selling race car parts and that sort of thing. So moving that from the cars into roller coaster cars looks like a really cool way of doing it.
Well, you'll have to ride them and see if you can go get a little, what would that be called? A demonstration.
There you go. I did run the story about it, and he did I don't know what they call it now. They don't call it retweeting and marks on X, but he did share the link, so that was pretty cool. So I think it'd be awesome to get to head up there, but that's not really in the cards this year, or maybe even next year. It'll be cards in the future, I suppose. I love Pigeon Forge. It's really neat to go up there. Spend a long time, but it was really cool to go up there, and it's an interesting part of the country. So it was fun. Really an interesting part of the country. But July 4th tomorrow, are you having any big plans for the holiday there?
No, it's not really kind of a fun holiday for me, and not because of anything. I do it to myself. I take all these animals on myself. So like the irresponsible people that know their dogs freak out when there's fireworks and stuff going off. I do my best to get them, either in my car or in my yard or something. And then, I try to figure it out from there. But I spend my holiday kind of trying to help the animals. They get scared and run off. So it might sound kind of silly, but it's kind of a depressing holiday for the animals. But probably like a nice little barbecue, maybe. My grass is getting green, so I can host something in it. What about you?
Yeah, that'd be cool. We're doing the same sort of thing. It's supposed to rain here all day tomorrow. It's raining right now. In fact, it's been raining for a couple of days. So it's probably going to be an inside thing. Go and have a little get together with family there, and then come home and probably watch fireworks on TV because we'll hear enough outside, no matter whether it's pouring rain or whatever. But we'll probably turn them on TV. It's not a hopefully in the fall, in October, we'll get to see some Disney fireworks, but seeing that 4th of July, they'll be on TV.
Yeah, in a nice, cool, I'm assuming probably nice, cool house. Sometimes it's
Yep.
nice to watch them on TV.
Mhm. That was the neat thing. In 2021, during the pandemic there, they had the local fireworks on TV, and that was awesome because we don't live very far from where they shot them off. And so you could hear them. You saw the stuff on TV, and then about half a second later, you'd hear the booms going off outside. So it was pretty neat. That was a interesting experience.
I bet. And I bet
Mhm.
Florida knows how to put on some pretty good displays.
They do. It's really, especially the ones that are in the over the top of the water. That's really awesome. Most of the fireworks here in this area are shot off the ocean. So whether they do it over the intercoastal or over the Atlantic itself. So there's a lot of really neat displays out there. And I think if the weather was better, we try to get over there. In the past, we've walked down to see them off the seawall there. But like I said, it's supposed to rain, and I don't want to take the risk of getting stuck out in the rain. I got enough issues right now. But soon, it won't be as big of a deal. Knock on wood here. But for right now, it's better just to be more safe than sorry and just sort of hang out here like I said, in the nice cool house and watch stuff on TV. There we go.
Yep, sometimes that's the way to do it.
It is. And like I said, it's early summer, so people are deciding to start doing some traveling. We don't have anything set up yet. We're probably going to be doing it in the fall, like I said. But I know there's a lot of really good stuff, really good deals. I did post a thing earlier the other day, not today, but the other day about some of the 4th of July events happening around the country. So be sure to check that out on my For Warplume's Fantastic Finds. I'll give you the link in a moment. But there's also some great local events around South Florida here. Plus, there's some great stuff all around the area. Um, and there's also some good travel deals, which I'm featuring on my website as well. Be sure to check those out. You planning on doing any traveling later in the year? I know your kids are a little bit older now, so it's a little easier.
I would like to. It's just, I would like to go kind of across the country, maybe to like Florida or something. So I don't see myself doing any of the super good traveling anytime soon, but I would like to get out and enjoy this weather because, I always hate to see it go. But if I lived in Florida, I wouldn't have to hate to see it go because it would never go. But so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's it's sometimes it's nice, but sometimes it just gets too hot, and and you it's too hot. This year is not bad though. This year is kind of abnormal because it hadn't gotten out of the upper 80s most days, and that's really odd, especially for July, for early July. But now it's been in the low to mid 80s, which is really cool. Um, there's places further north that have been a lot hotter than that, and I'm not complaining. I think that's just the way it is. But it's kind of odd. And we'll figure out whether it changes, whether that changes the whole pattern, or whether just this is another aberration like it was a few years ago, where it was just 100 degrees every day. So, uh, one of those things. But there we go. Should be a take advantage of the weather as it lasts. It should be a if it's nice in your area, it's a great thing. It's been, like I said, it's been the mid 80s here. The humidity hasn't been quite as insane, and it's pretty good. Hopefully, the weather is okay for your holiday tomorrow, and for everybody else's. Should be a really good 4th of July, and we will be back next week to talk a little bit more about some of the racing action this past weekend, as well as the stuff that's taking place next week. Be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder by visiting facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. Listen to previous episodes of this show at Thursday Night Thunder Podcast.podbean.com, or you can find it on Podcaster, iHeartRadio, Boomplay, Spotify, Player FM. You can also find us on Audible now, and I think you can find it in a couple other different spots as well. So that's awesome. And you can go to youtube.com/ForVorplums. That's FABORPLUMBS. I've got all the shows listed on there, plus some of the ones from our previous incarnation there on Speedway Digest. So be sure to check those out. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to check out the fan club feature on the Podbean app. You can go to facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder for more information. I also invite you to check out the racing news site at motorsportsnewsandviews.wordpress.com. That's going to be updated a little bit this weekend. I did update it last weekend as well, so be sure to check that out. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida, and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our slice of paradise at my travel blog, Forvorplum's Fantastic Finds, which can be found on Facebook at Forvorplum's Fantastic Finds. On Twitter, you go to @PBHappening. It's also sometimes at Forvorplums, sometimes at cross post there. And by heading to Forvorplum's Fantastic Finds, that's FABORPLUMBS, fantasticfinds.wordpress.com.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing.
Have a great night, and happy 4th of July.